Welcome back. It's been a minute, but I'm back. And as you can see, a lot has happened. I've moved into a new studio after years of being stuck in a depressing loneliness at home. I feel like life seems to be getting back to normal. I'm careful with that, but I've also been traveling a lot this year. You know, my girlfriend Jasmine and I went to the Maldives. It was insanely beautiful. We took a road trip through Romania with our close friend Julian. We partied at the Never See Festival. I went hiking in Slovenia, but then I got freaking COVID in July and had to cancel a wilderness survival trip to Norway with my best friend Philip. But then in October, for Jasmine's 30th birthday, I took her on a surprise trip.
Weißt du noch, als wir uns zum ersten Weihnachten was schenken wollten und beide das gleiche schenken wollten?
Haben wir das gleiche geschenkt?
Nein, dann nicht, aber wir haben danach festgestellt, wir wollten uns das gleiche schenken.
Na doch.
Ja.
Komm.
Es geht nach Mailand.
To Italy, to Lake Como, to be exact. And this trip changed both of our lives, to be honest. Because, you know, her birthday was just a cover-up for what I had actually planned, my marriage proposal. And this is what I want to talk about in this film. Because if you had asked me, like 4 years ago, if I want to get married, I had found every trick in the book to convince you that nobody needs this old school tradition, that it's only romantic bullshit that the wedding industry is keeping alive. But I was wrong. So if you feel the same way I do, and you want a relationship, but you have a hard time imagining yourself spending your life with just one person, let me share my experience and my take on it. Now that I'm an engaged ex-marriage avoider. Because to be completely honest, if I hadn't changed my views from back then, I would have walked into a future that would have made me extremely unhappy. And the worst part is, I wouldn't even have noticed. So if you want to know how to find out if your girlfriend is the right one, how to not feel claustrophobic when you think about commitment, and some very practical tips for your own proposal, then keep watching. First, we need to talk about commitment and why we fear it so much, as if it was a death sentence. Take a look at this diagram with 4 quadrants. I call it the path of commitment. On the y-axis, we have people who are not ready to commit, not at all, and people who are ready. On the x-axis, we have people who don't want a relationship at all, and people who definitely want one. For example, if you look at early Charlie Harper, he's definitely in Q1, a glorified bachelor, happy with his chicks coming and going.
All right, you had sex last night. You don't have to turn into Mr. Bojangles.
Oh, it's better than that. I had sex and I woke up alone. If there were pancakes on my night table, it'd be the perfect morning.
But later in season 6, he switches to Q2 when he meets Chelsea and wants to get married.
All right, then I have to ask, given that you and Chelsea are such different people, why do you want to be in this relationship?
Well, because I'm crazy about her. Because when I'm with somebody else, I'm thinking of her. Not that I've been with anybody else. Tell her, Doc.
You passed up strange.
See? That's got to mean something, considering how I used to, live for strange.
You're probably asking yourself now, okay, why isn't he ready then? I mean, doesn't wanting a relationship mean we are ready? Well, I don't think so. Because as Charlie will soon find out in season 7, we may be ready to spend more time with a girl, we love her and try to make her happy, but are we really ready to give up our freedom?
Oh, I almost forgot. Have you two set a wedding date yet?
No. We haven't. But we're gonna.
Don't we think that we either have freedom as singles or the opposite of that as married men? Isn't doing whatever, whenever, with whomever we want, the epitome of freedom. So what the hell am I talking about being ready for a relationship? The freedom myth. Just mindlessly going from one fling to the next and breaking off when things get serious may be the glorified and intriguing way of not giving up our freedom. But if we never go beyond that point, we will always and forever remain in Q1. If you persevere when things get difficult, you will get from Q1 to Q4. Freedom has almost this divine quality that we must strive for, because the opposite of that is captivity. But I think there's a misunderstanding here, because freedom isn't doing everything all the time just because we can. That's compulsion. Freedom means doing only the things we really choose to do. If I were Bruce Lee, I could kick anyone's ass, no problem, but I choose not to. And this is true freedom, and more than that, it's a virtue. Aimlessly starting over and over again is not freedom. It's a short-term compulsion for intensity and a long-term recipe for loneliness. In our culture, freedom is glorified as the ultimate virtue. But let me tell you, if you're 40, 50, 60 and you have no meaningful life experience, you'd better be rich to find someone to cuddle with. The reason why you're experiencing commitment as a trap is because the problem is not commitment. The problem is something else. Reframing commitment. The reason why we resist the idea of fully trusting someone or sharing everything with them, even our most shameful thoughts and experiences, is that psychologically we associate commitment with being controlled. The way out of the situation is pretty simple, to be honest, but it is also bad news for all the toxic women out there who are used to getting everything they want from a man until he's completely exhausted of money, patience, time and energy, and they can move on to the next victim in the false hope of finding inner peace by harvesting love from another human. So the solution for us who want to approach Q4 is basically to do just the opposite. We have to start respecting ourselves, respecting our needs, our boundaries, our hobbies, our friends, our time, our energy. We should look for relationships where we are an equal part. Just because one of us in a relationship is a woman doesn't mean she always has to get what she wants. We want true equality from now on. If you want to buy a huge TV, we talk about it. And we don't get turned away like a 5-year-old. If you want to go out for a drink with our friends, we go without drama. Everyone talks about female empowerment, and this is awesome. But in relationships, I think we're missing a discussion about male emotional empowerment. Just look at romance. Everything that is romantic is focused on making women happy. Now, what I'm about to say is very important, because we live in a world where there is no nuance or gray area anymore. And people will interpret what I just said as wanting women back behind the stove. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that in a healthy relationship, both partners' needs, hobbies, interests, and preferences need to be respected on an equal level. And that doesn't mean you always get what you want either. But it does mean that if you both feel seen and heard when something is bothering you, if that is the basis of a relationship, I guarantee you will feel free, like 100 and 1,000 times more relaxed, because it is only when we feel powerless we feel imprisoned. So look for someone who isn't blinded by idealistic romantic crap, hammering into us the story of the entitled woman and the simpleton who has to do whatever she demands to earn her love. Instead, look for a woman who can take responsibility for herself, and sometimes even for the entire relationship. Because I can tell you from my own experience that a relationship based on the romantic blueprint only works as long as everyone sticks to their roles. The moment she loses her appeal or he becomes less supportive, because let's be honest, life sometimes throws so much shit at us that we are forced to grow up, and then this relationship will falter. Now the question is, how do you know if a woman is the right one? Boobs or brains? I'm not a fan of rules for relationships, because if there were absolute rules, We could simply just learn them and all live happily till death do us part. But I believe in principles. And the difference is that principles are more like an experienced uncle who means well and gives good advice. Rules are like a mobster who gives you a deadline, and if you don't keep it, he'll break your legs. So here are my 3 well-intentioned principles for knowing if you can feel safe and free with a woman. Trust versus fakeism. The type of trust I'm talking about is more than just about cheating. It is at its core about trusting that you are good enough and you are good enough for each other. Because if you don't feel that, you will put on a fake mask that creates the illusion of that. Even if it's the mask of the trash can that swallows all of her psycho bullshit and always tries to make her happy. So stop impressing a girl, start finding the one who loves you even if you fart in front of her. Being able to talk about anything versus shutting down. If you don't feel like you can talk about your perverted fantasies, your desire to move to Bali, or your money problems, your psyche will slowly but surely surrender to the bitter coldness of an overpowering partner and lead you either into the arms of someone more empathetic, or you will simply wither away with your new 2 best friends, Stolichnaya and Hendrix. Seeing eye to eye versus power games. The clearest sign that you are in a good relationship is when you feel like you are eye to eye. This does not mean you are the same, but that you are an equal value. The equality doesn't mean you always get what you want, but that you are seen and heard. We all want to be seen and heard, whether it is in an authentic way or through power games. Their motivation remains the same, but if you enter the arena of power games or are pulled into it, before you know it, you'll see your relationship as long and tiring 20 seasons of Game of Thrones. So now that we know what to look for, and let's say we found her and we decide to propose, here are some lessons I learned from my proposal. Practical advice on the proposal mindset. So now that we honor our own feelings and needs and found somebody who we really want to share the rest of our lives with, we also need to break some romantic bones, because theory is nice, but the wrong practice can still fuck up everything. Number 1, no pressure. Never do it just because you feel pressured, or you will regret it. And if you half-assly have to spend thousands of dollars and time and energy to plan a wedding, good luck. You have to want her. Always keep this in mind. Be a real man and give a damn. Plan something that is really cool for both of you, because you will be so proud of yourself to having created this sweet memory. Don't break the bank. Always spend as much as you can, not as much as society, romance, your girlfriend's friends expect. It can hurt a little, but you shouldn't want to throw up when you see the bill for the ring. It's also your engagement, not only your girlfriend's. It should be a memorable experience for you too. So if you had a fight in the morning or the mood is crappy, postpone. She doesn't know that it could have happened, so no harm, no foul. Let me tell you, during our trip to Lake Como, I had many cool things planned, and everything went wrong. It was so demoralizing that it was almost funny. I didn't know up until like 5 minutes before I did it that it would happen. But the vibe between was still amazing, so I did it. 5. Grow some big hairy balls. If you love her, don't wait forever, man. Time is precious. Grow some juicy balls and start planning. Bonus. No pressure, volume 2. If women are watching, please don't pressure your man and tell them exactly how, what, when you want it. You are depriving them and yourself of the tremendous value of making an effort, the beautiful surprise of not knowing. This is much more important than your idealized illusions of a perfect proposal. And the more you see how much effort they put into it, the more it will melt your heart. I promise. I hope I could give you a glimpse into my mindset, but I can tell you it has never felt more right. I hope you can see commitment as more than just loss of your freedom, but more as an enriching potential for your life. I'm absolutely convinced that with a little bit of courage, perseverance, good quality information, and common sense, everyone can have an amazing relationship. Or let me put it this way. Look at your idols. Whether it's Steve Jobs, Michael Jordan, or even Elon Musk. Without their absolute commitment to their cause, they would have never become your idols. Whether it's success, business, sports, or love life, commitment is everything.